What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. After Sound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here on this channel every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday morning. So come by and say hello. All right, another week, another town hall. It seems like these just happen every week. I mean, I know they are happening every week, but I feel like I'm doing these videos more than weekly because we are just ripping through the month of September. I cannot believe this is the last town hall for September. So crazy times. We are getting into the last quarter of 2022, which is very exciting as it seems as though there's a lot of awesome things headed our way towards the end of this year as well as early next year. So for those who might be new to the channel or new to this kind of series, I cover the town halls every week. I give you my 5 biggest takeaways. So a warning that this is not a summary. There's fantastic content creators, both written and audio, that do town hall summaries, and I highly recommend you go check out and support their channels. I am featuring Rosie W here, who somehow has these town hall summaries up literally as they're saying goodbye. So big shout out to Rosie. Make sure you go and support her on Peak D, Splinter Talk, wherever as well. Upvote her post. She's putting in a lot of work for this. So, I think it'd just be nice to make sure that you go show some love to the folks in the community that are helping to bring this information to the masses for those who cannot attend the town halls every week. So let's go ahead and dive in. I'm going to share with you as a visual and as notes for me, my 5 biggest takeaways so you can see what we are going to talk about today. And the first is land. And boy, oh boy, land. Well, we got some not so good news again, in my opinion, because there were some dates thrown out for land and they once again were pushed back. Now, I believe this is for land phase 1. Okay, so not the land phase 0. And for those who might still be unfamiliar with all the terms, land phase 0 is what they call the non-card market as well as tech modernization, which is currently happening, right? Or currently in release. I think they might have put some stuff out for tech modernization and they said there were some bugs. So they're working through that. But non-card market is something we've been waiting for since Q2. So hopefully we will get that at some point in Q4, as Q4 is like 4 days away now. But land phase 1 is when we will be able to turn our claims into deeds, I believe. I don't think we're going to know exactly what the land does, but we will see where it's located on the map. We won't know the rarity yet. We won't know any of the other information, but that is what land phase 1 is. And we were hoping to get that this quarter in Q3. But now they're saying that it may be pushed to end of Q4, potentially even early 2023. So land phase 2, which is where we get the first part of functional land. I don't know if that's going to be where the game is going to be changed yet in terms of adding another phase to battle. But in terms of being able to harvest your resources and then start minting items and spells, I believe that's still planned or scheduled for land phase 2. So when that happens now, I don't know. But again, the last roadmap that we saw, or at least early roadmaps that we saw, were early Q1 or maybe Q2 of 2023. I'm thinking that unless this stuff is just like there's a bottleneck and then we're going to get a fire hose of releases for land, I'm just pushing everything back 6 months now, right? Or however much this has been pushed back. So I've been saying that phase 2 of land, which should have been for Q2 of last year or of next year, will probably get pushed to Q3 now if we need that 6-month gap between when phase 1 comes out and when phase 2 comes out. So again, there could be, best case scenario, there could be a bottleneck somewhere with this tech modernization, and that once we get that, it's just a fire hose of land stuff. But I'm not holding my breath just yet, and I'm sure many people who are frustrated with the land delays are not holding their breath either. So I'm just trying to be real with you here. Again, the team, I believe, is doing phenomenal work, and I know that they're working to get this out. And Agrod was very, very he brought on some heavy hitters today, and he brought on people who are working on land to tell you that all the other cool stuff that they're doing is not affecting land. And I believe him, right? It's not a matter of believing or not believing. It's just obviously you got to take them at their word. But it's literally like the team is splintered. I'm going to use that word, splintered out very efficiently and effectively. So I don't know necessarily what the delays on land or what's causing the delays on land, but I can tell you, at least from what I know, that whatever else is happening, especially with like tower defense and rift watchers and all that, like the team is working effectively and efficiently, and I'm trying to impress that upon you, especially from what I've been able to see both externally and internally. But at the end of the day, we're not really sure what's causing all these delays to land, and I'll be honest, I don't think we got the answer that people were looking for. Like, it's not why, like for me, it's not when land, because that ship has sailed. It's why is land late, right? And I get it. There's a lot of things that they need to do, and I don't know that the community fully understands, and mainly because I don't know, right? I'm not technical. I'm a musician, so this stuff flies over my head. But I don't believe the community understands the depth of like what the tech modernization means, and how much work goes into that. And they put it out there in town halls, and they talk about it, but I think most folks, again, like myself, who you're layman, are just not going to understand how in-depth this process is. So I'm still chalking it up to tech modernization. The only thing that's frustrating, and I get this for the community, the only thing that's frustrating is the fact that like the time estimates for this have been abysmal, right? And so the fact that we thought we were going to get tech modernization in Q2, and now Q3 is almost over and we're still talking about tech modernization, that's got to be disappointing. And for large landholders or people who just bought land, whether in the beginning or last year or even now, I get it, right? You want your land to play with. It's not even a financial thing. And we're going to get to the proposals in a minute here, but you bought land because you wanted to play with it, and it's not here yet. And you look at all the other things that are happening, and you're like, damn, that sucks. Like I wanted land, and we're just not getting it. So bad news. Bad news is that it looks like it's getting pushed to Q4 of this year, or late Q4, potentially Q1 of next year. And if it gets delayed any further, I would say functional land in terms of harvesting your resources will probably be like very late next year. But I hold out hope optimistically that it's just a bottleneck for tech modernization. This is the hopium or copium part of me speaking now, right? That it's just the tech modernization part, and once that's done, they'll be able to churn out things as quickly as they have been, and as we've seen in other aspects of the game. So hopefully that does happen. But let's go ahead now to number 2, which is tournaments and brawls are going to be getting a little makeover. Well, really not a makeover, because it's just adding Rift Watchers into the mix. So any tournaments that you see that are Chaos Legion only currently, tournaments and brawls, Rift Watchers will be added, as Rift Watchers is the associated mini set. And then anything that is modern should include Rift Watchers as well in the future. But modern stuff is going to be much more easier to identify. I think it's wherever you see CL only, Chaos Legion only, Rift Watchers is going to be added in. So that should make for an exciting change to both tournaments and brawls, as we are less than 24 hours away from a huge meta shift. And huge, I say huge, pun intended, because some of those behemoths are going to be game-changing, in my opinion. Some of those large giants within Rift Watchers. Okay, let's get now to the land and tower defense SPS proposals, because Aggro brought on a heavy hitter, Neil McSpreadsheets McSpadden, to talk about the proposals and the financial situation. Now, I'm curious how people feel about Neil coming on as someone to talk about this on a town hall. Now, here's the thing. So Neil is he's a self-proclaimed big whale within the game, right? And on his Monster Maverick show, which is phenomenal, fantastic, lots of great information there. I highly recommend you check it out on Splinterlands TV. Neil talks about the fact that he is the biggest or one of the largest holders within the game, and so it's interesting for Aggie to bring him on. And here's what I'm trying to get at, because I'm trying to understand where the rest of the community feels. I'm always interested to hear from Neil, but one of the things that was interesting, at least going through the comments, is is he the community representative that people want? right? And again, I'm not trying to, there's no salt thrown at Neil or Aggie or anyone. It's interesting to bring on a community member, one of the largest whales in the game. And I appreciate the fact that Agorod was trying to give everybody a perspective of somebody who's been in the game for a while and who has a lot of assets tied up in the game. But I'm just curious to know how the rest of the player base feels on his thoughts, as well as him coming on to kind of talk through these things, as opposed to, I don't know, literally anybody else. That's all, because I saw some interesting, again, I just saw some interesting stuff in the town hall Discord as it was going, and I figured I'd ask that question somewhat bluntly here. Now, the thing is, Neil does bring a lot of great arguments, and if, again, I got to plug his show on Splinterless TV. He's an incredibly smart guy. He digs into the data, and I think a lot of the ways that he approaches these things are a very big reason as to why Agorod wanted him on, because Neil is a very big picture guy that can also get into the details. Now, the main thing here with land, right? And I think the land proposal is set to pass. And I said that I'm voting yes to both land and tower defense. People have been waiting for land, and there's just so much salt around it right now that I would rather throw some sugar, right? Get some sweetness in there to cancel out some of that salt, because I think land could still potentially be very far away. So if people could at least be earning something, it might slow down the when land questions, as there's a lot of other hopefully cool things that are on the horizon for Splinterlands that'll probably come before land. I mean, let's be serious. Let's be real here. You know, right now with the estimates we have, and again, they're just estimates, so you have to go with that. We might get tower defense in terms of a playable tower defense and a playable GLS before land, right? In terms of playable land is what I'm saying, which could be set to be pushed back to Q3 of next year. So I get it. There's frustration there, but there's also some cool things coming that, if you throw a bone to the land, the landowners, and just say, here, start taking your SPS, hopefully they'll be able to focus on the other areas within the game that are having some cool releases and development over the next 6 to 12 months. That being said, the argument against it is, well, you're supposed to work the land. You're supposed to play to earn it, or you're supposed to work to earn it. You shouldn't just be given stuff for free for holding assets, right? That's what the airdrop was for, and now the airdrop is done. And I think that's a valid argument too. So anybody who's voting against the proposal for any reason, right? But for that reason specifically, I mean, I get it. I understand. And from a dilution standpoint for SPS, people are just like, why are we diluting SPS more? My thoughts on it are, SPS is screwed at this point anyway. There's still so much dilution that is yet to come. We're only like a third of the way through, and this is going to be like a 5-year thing. So when I look at SPS, I may get bullish at some times, right? And I may look at things and say, oh, yeah, I mean, the market can be irrational and we can pump, and there could be a massive amount of people that come into the game. But on the whole, I don't expect SPS to really do much until we can get DEC back to its peg, until we can start burning large amounts of SPS, and that's not happening right now. Or we can just get to a point where SPS stops getting diluted so much every single day. And I know the private sale is over, the private sale investors are over, the airdrop is over, but you got to understand that dilution, some people refer to it as inflation, dilution is still very high, right? And the reason that inflation is on my mind is because people are just like, when you look at like inflation around the world, or specifically here in the US, like inflation went from like 9 point something down to 8 point something, and everyone started celebrating. But the truth is that the U.S. government is targeting 2% inflation. So it's like, yeah, it's great that, it's coming down, but it's still 4x above what we want it to be. So when I think about SPS dilution, it's like, yeah, it's great that we cut it down 30, 40%, whatever that number ends up being. But it's still a hell of a lot of SPS that's hitting the market every day. And sure, the argument is that some might be going to people who want to hold long term, but a lot of people, especially in a bear market, they want to realize some of these gains, right? And so SPS pumps to 9 cents from 7 cents or 4 cents, and they're going to take their profits, right? And know that they can buy in cheaper. We're nowhere near a bull market. I don't think the macro economy shows any signs of that coming soon. So people are just taking that as passive income, and they will continue to provide sell pressure on it. Now, on the tower defense side, this is an interesting one. Again, I voted yes for it mainly because I think that I don't mind early adopters getting getting rewarded for holding and believing and trying to support the team and the project. So I'm all for that. I only bought 25 packs. I don't care whether I earn on them or not. But it does add some value to those packs, and holding those packs and picking up those packs off of the market, or more specifically, buying them from the store for 5,000 DEC plus a voucher each. So in that way, what Agro has been talking about is in terms of like, this is a huge thing that the community needs to see, is that tower defense and buying tower defense packs will burn vouchers, another 1.7 million vouchers, right? I think the tower defense general sale will go live tomorrow, or the next update. And then, 5,000 DEC times the remaining packs is a hell of a lot of DEC, and we need to eat up that DEC. And again, I need to say that DEC is not getting burned, but it is going into the Splinterlands or company coffers, right? And they're not, I trust the team to hold the DEC and not like crash the market price. I think for them, they're willing to hold it until it gets back to its peg price, and they're not going to sell it before that unless they really, really have to. They are just going to use it as a way to distribute on the back end any credits transactions that happen on the marketplace, which is great, because if we do soak up all that DEC, it's not like there's that much happening in terms of volume on the market, or happening on that much in terms of credits. So I still think that this is a good thing to vote up. If you vote against it, again, I'm never against vote shaming here. I think vote shaming is just a sad reality that we live in outside of this and just in regular life. So it's like, if you vote against it, I get it. You got your reasons. It's more so I just want to understand where you're coming from, right? But for the most part, I think that it's not a bad thing, and I'm willing to deal with the dilution now, because the dilution of SPS is going to happen. Whether we push it back 6 months or we wait, we allow it to happen now, it's going to happen. So I would rather get started on it, because then by the time the next bull run rolls around, hopefully in 24 to 36 months, right? So 2 to 3 years, a lot of SPS will already be out and hopefully be in the hands of people that are long-term holders like myself, right? I want to collect as much SPS as I can. So let that stuff run out. Let's run the price of SPS down to a penny, and I will back up the truck, as they say. So, I'm all for it right now. But again, I can understand if people want there to be a little bit more stability, or they just don't feel like people holding assets should be rewarded in that way and should have to earn it. I get it. I just want to hear your reasoning why. Okay. Number 4, there are still Rooney whitelist spots available. I didn't realize this, but you should. I don't know who to follow. I think it's John, or not Homestead, but just keep an eye out and I'm sure they're going to put this on the official updates. But there is going to John 16-bit. Okay, there are going to be some opportunities in the future to get Rooney whitelist spots, because keep in mind, Rooney is not just for the game community. Rooney is something that they are trying to address the broader NFT profile picture market, right? Especially on Ethereum. And so they're going to be going out to other Web3 communities and talking about what the Rooney project is and offering up whitelist spots. So if you want to get in, keep an eye out for what they're doing. And it looks like they have a slideshow here. Let's see if they have anything. So registered. Okay, so this is the slideshow that they're going to be presenting to a lot of the other folks, I suppose. And whoa, there we go. Now we get back to it. So you can go in and get the slides from there. More important thing, though, is that I didn't realize that whitelist spots are still available, so I wanted to let you guys know if you didn't get one, you can still get one. You are not going to get that voucher discount, though. So all it's going to do is ensure that you have a slot or a spot to mint a Rooney on the day itself, but you will need the full $500 roughly in Ethereum on the day of the mint, which is going to be sometime in late October. So again, that's exciting for those who might have missed out. I think there's an opportunity here to get in on that, but you just got to keep your ear to the ground and find out when these things are going to be, when these meetings or presentations to the Web3 communities will be, and hopefully they will be announcing those whenever they happen in the official announcement channel, or reach out to Chatter and just see if Chatter knows, or John 16-bit. Okay, last thing for today. There's a comment by Agro about gold not he was addressing the fact that people were complaining about gold being nerfed. And as a gold level player, I have seen this firsthand, and it's been very discouraging because I'm not somebody that's ready to drop like another $3,000 on maxing out my Chaos Legion deck just to get destroyed by all the untamed legendaries in in Diamond and Champion, right? Like, I'd rather just continue playing at gold and build out my deck over the next 6 months or however long it takes to sell out Chaos Legion. So in the vein of that, what was interesting is Aggro talked about the fact that gold wasn't necessarily nerfed. It's just a lot of accounts moved up into gold. And I buy that. Right? Because it makes sense where if there were a lot of silver level players, silver and bronze definitely got nerfed, right? I mean, it's like 25% of rewards are going to both of those, whereas like the remaining 75% are going to gold and above. And we saw gold is at that, Goldilocks zone of 20%, which I was thinking it'd be good if they just did 20% across the board. But gold remains in that 20% because it's right smack dab in the middle. So I'm inclined to believe what Aggro had said. I would just love to see numbers on this. And again, if you have places where we can see that or resources, I think that would be great to share with the community. So definitely let me know. But for me, I think it makes sense that a lot of folks who were playing in silver might have just started stretching up into gold and eating into that reward pool. Because a lot of those, let's be real, like a lot of those like silver level decks could play in gold. I mean, a lot of the bronze level decks I will see getting into gold. For example, we have the Aftersound YT account here that farms rewards for the community. And that account, I think the highest level summoner that it has is a level 3 summoner, rare summoner, which means it's just like halfway through silver, right? But that account makes it into gold I didn't let it go into gold last season because I wanted it to continue winning. But this season I was like, screw it. We were on stream and I was like, everyone's like, yeah, let it go to gold and we'll see what it wins. So that account is in gold and it's playing with mostly level 2 or level 3 summoners. So it's definitely possible for that to happen. And I think that the numbers potentially make sense, but I would just love to see the data actually broken down in that way. And I think Commander Chaos has one, but I don't have the link, so I'm going to have to go back and find it. And I guess just going to share with you some cool Rooney eye candy here that Nate was sharing. I mean, I love the artwork. I think it's going to be fun. There was someone in the comments throwing a little salt around, like, it doesn't really fit with all the other artwork of Rift Watchers and Chaos Legion, and they have a point, right? They definitely have a point, but I still think it's cool enough. And this game isn't at a level or like at a serious. It doesn't have a serious enough tone where it's just like it needs to be this or nothing, right? It all needs to match. It all needs to be perfect. I think there's a lot of flexibility within the game. And if you see a card like this, it's going to be like, oh yeah, like that's cool. And it could fit into the lore. And I know the creative team is working on some fun stuff there. They also did release this Earth Legendary Monster, which is going to be the next airdrop whenever we hit 1 million Rift Watcher packs sold. And I think his name is called like Ancient Redwood or something. He looks giant here because he's throwing a tree. So two things. Makes me believe he's going to be a giant over 10 mana and that he might be a ranged monster if this dude is throwing gigantic redwood trees like they're spears. But that would actually fit quite well with Fernheart. So, I think my prediction hopefully might be on. But that's really all I got for you guys in today's video. There was, again, want to shout out Rosie because she captures a lot of the questions here that were answered along with the answers. And so I think that you should come in and check it out if you want a little bit more information, but don't want to go through the entire town hall yourself. But other than that, have an amazing rest of your day. I will catch you all in the next video, and I will see you around the game. Take care.